Hello. Hope everyone's doing good out there. I'm doing quite well myself. Thank you so much for asking. I very much appreciate your interest, continued interest in observing the Barbecue Network as I set things up here. So, everyone having a nice day there, wherever you are. That's probably good. Oh gosh. Yeah, that's all right. I'll settle for that for right now. Isn't it amazing what we settle for at times? All right. Just getting set up here, everyone. Hope you're all doing good. Uh huh. Yep. Hope you're all doing good out there. Might as well talk about a couple movies and see if we get anyone out there live chat. All right. How's everyone doing out there? I wanted to discuss Taking of Pelham 123, the remake. Starred Denzel Washington and John Travolta. Now, the DVD or the Blu-ray has just the Blu-ray in it. No, it has a DVD as well. That's quite a good value. And this is, of course, a Sony picture. They were very remake heavy in the late 2000s, early 2000 teens. Of course, Total Recall remake, Taking a Pelham 123 remake, among many others. I find that this is let's talk about John Travolta in Swordfish. That's one of his greater performances. And I like this performance in this film as well. Taking a Pelham 123. James Gandolfini is to some extent underused in this film. John Turturro is there. Luis Guzman does a good job. Why do I think John Leguizamo's in it? I guess he's not. The writer Brian Helgeland. I've never gotten through both of their commentaries. Wow. I'm gonna check out the two commentaries on there. I never realized there was two commentaries on there. One with the late Tony Scott, and one with Brian Helgeland. In fact, I might pop this in. Check out. I thought I'd seen all these features, but I hadn't. I still don't. I definitely seen the special feature about getting the hair and the look right for John Travolta because the man that did all the fashion for John Travolta, he's passed away. He was a pretty famous hairstylist at one point in Los Angeles. Um, yeah, but on a technical point of view, it's a really, really well put together movie. Really well put together movie. Highly recommend Taking a Pelham 123. And even if you don't like it, you're gonna still say that there's aspects of the movie you like. You can't come away from this movie saying that it's not at least well produced or well directed. Whether or not you like the changes they make from the old one, that's up to you. But the other one had a real, the old one with Walter Matthau, Jerry Stiller, among many others, that had a different flair to it, a comic flair, a timing to it. It ends with even kind of a zinger, if you will. This one is just all pretty much a psychological face-off. It is reminds me of Face Off. It does have a face off to it. They didn't mean it like that, but it does have that kind of they're facing off type atmosphere to it. It's only about $10 million. They're only trying to fight for $10 million. So thinking about that in terms of 10 years ago, still that was a lot of money then, a lot of money now. It's really not that much though. It should have been maybe like 100 million, but or something more than 10, like 18 million, 20 million. I don't know. But has anyone out there seen Taking a Pill in 123? Um, Go ahead and let me know. And also, hopefully, I can post this in the comments. Keep sending in more Q&A questions. I got 4 or 5 Q&A questions I'm going to address here on the show as we go. So I think I'll try to go to one of them now. Fred and I guess this is Gwinnett. I can't remember where he lives. Is it Georgia or South Carolina? I'm sorry, sir. But go back over his email. His email was basically of all of Catherine Bigelow's films, what do I think is the most underrated? That's a good question. It's been a while since I've seen Near Dark. I didn't really love it or anything like that. Wasn't really, it's alright. um, did she make The Hunger? The Hunger with I don't think she made that, but that's a really underrated film, at least visually. Point Break is about ranked where it should be. It's classic in my opinion. Strange Days has a lot going for it, but then it becomes kind of a slog. Blue Steel. I really do like Blue Steel. Do I think it's like excellent or anything like that? No. But the intensity of the performance and the Ron Silver character, and where it kind of straightforward, you think you know exactly where the plot's going and everything, and then it goes somewhere different. I like that movie. I like the title, and I wish that more would have been done with it as far as it being a bigger hit. I haven't seen Detroit. Obviously, Zero Dark 30 and Hurt Locker can't really fall into the underrated category at all because they were adulated films. I'm sure perhaps Detroit has some redeeming aspects that maybe had it not been released in the summer, it would have drawn some award recognition or some more people liking the movie. I don't know. I don't know anyone that's seen Detroit. Have you seen Detroit, Fred? Have you seen it? Do you like it? What do you think is her most underrated movie? What do you think is her most underrated movie? I like Blue Steel, and I think that would be my choice. I'm surprised that she hasn't gone on to some big franchise movie, be it a James Bond movie. I think that would be an awesome thing for the Broccolis to do. Throw it to a woman director just to see her making those action scenes and Point Break. They're the strength of the movie, and then she's never really made a straight ahead action movie since. Strange Days is far, far from an action movie. K-19, I guess you could say, is an action movie, but not really. It's more of a slog. So yeah, get back into the non-slog type movies, Catherine Bigelow. Thank you very much for your question. All right. So we're gonna have some other people participate in the chat. We got a guy, Narek Chase. He has his channel, the Narek Chase channel, and that's a YouTube channel based out of Mississippi. He does some interesting videos where he ranks different characters, talks about different incarnations of movie franchises, etc., and reviews all the different movies, etc. So he does a good channel. And that's what this next email reminds me of. Basically, they're asking me to rank the James Bonds. And this particular person said that their Pierce Brosnan was their favorite, which I can respect. In a way, I kind of relate to that. He's GoldenEye. GoldenEye was such a prolific, not only video game, but concept and movie in the 90s up through the 2000s. Thanks. Then you got, Die Another Day, Tomorrow Never Dies, GoldenEye. Is that just he's only in 3? Is Pierce Brosnan only in 3? I'm asking. I'm trying to recall. I believe he's only in 3. So, sir, I guess your 3, those your favorite ones. Okay, yeah, I could see that. But then I think about it, though, he's not in enough. And Die Another Day and Tomorrow Never Dies are, they run together a little bit. They're both pretty awesome, though. Then you got you really think about that, man. The Pierce Brosnan era was really only from like when he got announced, I guess, in '94 to when the movie got released, I guess, GoldenEye in the mid '90s, to like '99 when the next one comes out, and then maybe '02 or '03, and then he's done. So that's kind of interesting. So the Pierce Brosnan era is pretty short. It's not as long as I remembered it going on. So for that reason, I can't really pick out the Pierce Brosnan era as being the best. The Timothy Dalton era on that measure is a very short era. It's just a 2-movie era, I believe. So that's a little bit interesting. Be right back. All right. Does anyone want to send me some snacks? Let me ask it again. Does anyone out there want to send me some snacks? I'd much enjoy some snacks as I'm doing these videos. It would be great to have a snack. So go ahead and send me some snacks. No, I'm joking, but if you, for real. Oh man. So we're discussing James Bond a little bit right now with the news that Bradley Cooper's in talks to be a part of the franchise after the Daniel Craig movie. And I gotta say, I like George Lazenby. Obviously, it's just the one movie. Roger Moore. Roger Moore is my favorite James Bond, without belaboring the question all that much long. I don't really know how long his era was, but it's one of those things for me. And this is just for me. I think of Roger Moore as James Bond more than Sean Connery. I know it sounds ridiculous, but I grew up in the era where Roger Moore was performing, right? And nowadays, watching For Your Eyes Only, I don't really think it's a wonderful movie, a great James Bond movie, a great movie in its own right. I think it's a beautiful movie. I think it's a movie that's part of a unique time period and era, and I think it's a really wonderful and underrated performance by Topol and basically by the entire cast. So for that measure, let's just say Roger Moore hadn't been in For Your Eyes Only, then I probably wouldn't be answering in this way. Because his other movies, as iconic and as deeply original as they are, it's just called Roger Moore's run on the James Bond series, deeply original. Definitely he's not in that upper tier without For Your Eyes Only, which I clearly think is the best James Bond movie ever made. I mean, it's not even a question. Skyfall's great. Casino Royale is great. They have great sequences in them. For Your Eyes Only has a great movie. For Your Eyes Only, from the beginning to the end of it, is on a different plane of every other James Bond movie ever made. Now, someone can agree with that. They can disagree with that. I don't really care. It's my opinion. I find that if I could see For Your Eyes Only on the big screen, go back in time and watch that, I would have loved to do that. If I can watch it now on the big screen, I would love to do that. Second place, clearly Sean Connery. I mean, obviously, in terms of volume and maybe most memorable moments in the Bond series, you'd go with Sean Connery. Huge fan of what Pierce brought to the series. Huge. I just say that those three movies are pretty iconic in terms of when you think of it, it's just those three movies. Daniel Craig at least now has four movies. One, two, three, four, and he's making a fifth. So is he? It's a hard argument to make because I happen to like every one of his movies, even Quantum of Solace. I don't know. I mean, I guess they wanted more brand loyalty the last 20 years than the series has ever really had because Daniel Craig has been Bond for quite a long time now. And by the end of this next shoot, it will be like a 15-year Bond trip that he's been on. So definitely whoever's the next Bond, I think they're going to want to go with a short-term, upstart the box office type guy. Because not to say that these Bond movies haven't done well. I would just say that Spectre underperformed, Quantum of Solace underperformed, and the other two performed at or above what you would expect from a Bond movie these days. I mean, a Bond movie these days, in today's day and age, um, they should be billion-dollar movies. There's no doubt. There's no doubt about it. Each one of them should be billion-dollar movies. If they're not, they should be 1.2 billion, 1.3 billion. That's why Skyfall was the one that did what it was supposed to do. Not really what it was supposed to do. It exceeded expectations. But the question I've always had is, why were expectations only at what 800 million for that movie? Why weren't they expecting it to do what it did? I don't know. It's a weird question. If you add someone with actual box office capability to the franchise already, I'm telling you, the movie's going to do better. If you add Bradley Cooper to the James Bond franchise, the movies are going to do like not twice as better, but close to it. It's going to put you over that edge. It's going to add you $80 more domestic, and it's going to add you about 200, 300 million more internationally. And I don't know anyone that would say that's not true. And I think it's racist to say that an American can't play a British guy. I think it's just straight up racist and wrong. And especially in today's day and age, it's like what so the ultimate in racism would be like if a black American can't play one. But seriously, a white American? Why can't a white American? Can a black American too? Yeah, sure. Michael B. Jordan as Bond. Why not? But I'm just saying it makes more sense because the meeting's already happening with Bradley Cooper, be it for a side role, which would be a great gimmick in a Bond movie, in this next one, a villain role in an upcoming movie, a spin-off role in the Moneypenny series, being the Bond guy to Moneypenny, or being Bond himself in the next incarnation of the series. So there's a lot to consider. Thank you so much for the question. I like questions about the James Bond franchise, and I've never really exactified my thoughts on it. And to put it to know that I really do like homie Roger Moore as the number one James Bond. It's something that's I'm happy to have come to that conclusion. Might as well go ahead and talk about, and I'll get to my next Q&A question in a little bit, is My Cousin Vinny. When I was using Amazon, I bought this. And this is the kind of movie that's likely going to be disappearing under the Fox banner. And that's what I find to be most sad, is this, original comedy sort of, yeah, it's R-rated, original R-rated comedy. You tell me how many more of those are going to be released under the Fox Disney merger. You tell me how many more R-rated comedies are going to be released under the Fox Disney merger. I say a fat zero. I guarantee you. If it's an R-rated comedy that's released under the Fox Disney merger, it's going to be maybe a prestige movie, if anything like that. I find that to be abysmal, sad, you name it. All these thrillers and great movies and comedies that Fox made. Sure, they made some poor movies through the years, but as a track record, they were usually pretty spot on with these kind of R-rated comedies. This is an Oscar-winning movie because of Marissa Tomei's performance. I'm not really saying whether or not there were some really good nominations for Best Actress, Supporting Actress that year. So I'm not going to try to um, beat up on the outcome of that. She did good in the movie. This has an audio commentary by director Jonathan Lynn. This was filmed in Alabama. It's nice to be in the South here and kind of see how the culture is a little bit, even though that's the deep South. And I'm here more in the Central States. Yeah, man. I mean, if you haven't seen My Cousin Vinny, go ahead and rush out to the local video store or Netflix queue and move it up. However, people consume movies these days. This is peak Joe Pesci. Really just won an Oscar a couple years before this. You got Fred Gwynn, you got Marissa Tomei, you got Ralph Macchio. I find that the guy that plays the other guy in it, he's like playing an Argentine American dude, and he's also, he's involved in the same thing that Ralph Macchio character. He does a good job. My friend Dale Launer, he wrote and produced this movie, and he was also the writer of Dirty Rotten Scoundrels. So he had a pretty good little deal going at that time, just going from studio to studio, doing the yeoman's work and getting some good movies made. So he went from being a writer to more of a lesser hand producer on DRS, Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, to being it's a Dale Launer production and a Jonathan Lynn film. So that's a big difference here. That's a big difference here. Yeah, it's a big difference. First, fast and funny from first joke to last. I would say that's true. Usually these little sound bites on the back, you can agree or disagree. I would say this movie is funny from first joke to last, or from the first beginning of it to the end. Um, um, I don't like this description. I'm going to try to do it in the tone they want me to do it in. Marissa Tomei won an Oscar, and then they put Oscar in parentheses. They're making fun of a New York accent for her hilarious turn as a car savvy fish out of water in this must-own comedy. So they're trying to parody the New York accent in terms of writing, and I don't think it comes across too well in the text. When Bill and Stan, Mitchell Whitfield plays the other gentleman, by the way, are mistakenly accused of murder on a trip through Alabama, they recruit Bill's cousin, Vinny, Oscar winner Joe Pesci for Goodfellas, a New York lawyer who's never gone to trial, to represent them before the formidable Judge Howler. Will justice follow Vinny and his girlfriend south when they try to save the day? It's the most hilarious culture clash ever when they hit the road in this tried and true favorite. I don't like the description of this, no offense. I'm sorry, they look like they put a lot of time and effort into it. It's like a more straightforward description. Two aspiring college students, or two college students picking out colleges on the road, getting over their head, and they need to call their cousins, get them out of trouble. Kind of leave it at that. I don't know. You throw murder on the back of the plot, and we're like, what? These kids get convicted, tried for murder. What? Anyway, that's my opinion on it. Music by Randy Edelman's great. Production design. The town that they filmed it in Alabama, they all, I think were there for quite a while. You can kind of tell production takes on the quality of the place that's filming it, and usually, and in this situation, it sure did. So definitely recommend that one. Both of those films I highly recommend. They both have good commentary tracks. Moving on to some other films over here. All right, I grabbed three, not necessarily at random. Three I've been wanting to talk about. I love Tuesday Weld. God bless her, like one of my favorite actresses. I believe she's a 1 or 2 time Oscar nominee. Just a beautiful lady. She was in Heartbreak Hotel. She was in Thief, the Michael Mann movie. Uh, she was nominated for a film called Play It As It Lays. She probably should have won for that film. Um, she's in a great movie called Pretty Poison that I have a hard time. I mean, it's a pretty deep movie. I'll just leave it at that. Check it out a little bit more, and maybe we can all discuss it sometime. Um, but yeah, this is a Lord Love a Duck. You probably never heard of this movie. Um, the director George Axelrod made a lot of I don't know comedy of manners, kind of satire type movies in the 50s and 60s. It's not rated. It was released in 1966. I guess it's a product of its time. It's kind of a parody, but also an insightful look into the beach culture in California in the 60s. You got Ruth Gordon in it, Harvey Korman. You got to check the movie out. I mean, in later viewings, when you watch it again, you probably won't like it as much. But yeah, I mean, your first viewing of this is always going to be pretty frickin' amazing if you watch it under the right circumstances. I would say I would always recommend, of course, Pretty Poison. I would also recommend Play It As It Lays. I would recommend Pretty Girls All on a Line, the Rock Hudson movie. Tuesday Wells not in that one, but it's called Pretty Girls All in a Line, and some other really good people are in that film. And that was filmed in the Westwood area of Los Angeles, University High. You got to check out you got to check it out. Pretty Girls All in a Line. I think of the ones I just named, Pretty Poison and Pretty Girls All in a Line are really really good. This one's very good as well. Just probably doesn't stand up to an excessive scrutiny. Some of the locations in this place, I've obviously been to the places in it. And I really think it's an interesting depiction of life in that era. Uh, I highly recommend it. It is an hour and 45 minutes, and it is a pretty deep movie as well, even though it's a comedy. And Roddy McDowell, he's older than he's supposed to be playing in the movie, but that's kind of the joke of it at all. I don't know. So I hope you enjoy it. It's a really good movie. Lord Love a Duck. This one I haven't even opened it. Wanted to see what anyone else thinks of it. Taxi Driver and won the Palme d'Or. It lost to Rocky. You got Peter Boyle. You got a wonderful cast, obviously. It has a making of documentary. And some other stuff. There's no commentary on it or anything. I wouldn't expect that, but it is a 2 disc or it is a collector's edition, and I'm wondering how long that commentary or that documentary is. So I might check that out. Hopefully, it's at least an hour or something, but you never know. And this I can't recommend enough. In fact, I might try to buy a new version of this. This is one of the first DVDs I've had. This has a documentary on disc 2 made by Vivian Kubrick, as I'm thinking she was having something going on with her and Jack Nicholson, just from the tone of the documentary. Then there's 3 mini featurettes: The View from the Overlook, Crafting the Shining, Visions of Stanley Kubrick and the Composer. And then there's a commentary by the Steadicam operator. So that's kind of a trip. You know, arguably someone probably shouldn't be talking over The Shining, but the man that was so iconically able to present such wonderful images in The Shining, who did the Steadicam. He's describing basically a lot of different shots and the virtuosic technique that was used by Kubrick and others to make such a wonderful film. So definitely 3 really good DVDs that I own there, and I'm very proud of those. Indeed. Might as well grab a couple others. All right, so I had a True Romance one. That was one of those Warner Brothers push tab ones. And I like the DVD that I had. It had actual iconic um, cover art, with Christian Slater kind of holding the gun and that, which I totally prefer to this. But anyway, I couldn't turn down the opportunity to have this 2 disc special edition, which basically has so much information on the making of True Romance. It's kind of insane. Talks about how Gary Oldman was just coming off of making Romeo is Bleeding and playing that very, very intense character in that, and that for the first day of shooting, he wasn't really even ready to play the great character he plays in True Romance. So that's interesting, of course. And his mother was on set. His mother is on set during those crazy scenes he's doing. So anyway, it's just totally interesting stuff. Interactive behind the scenes featurette, 1993, vintage featurette. I found both to be really cool. Um, hmm, there's a commentary where there's you hear Dennis Hopper, then you hear Val Kilmer, then you hear Brad Pitt, then you hear Michael Rappaport. So that's an okay commentary. I got to replay that one. And then there's a director commentary, an alternate ending, an optional director writer commentaries. On the real disc, there's 3 feature-length commentaries. There's one with just Tarantino, one with just Tony Scott, and one with just Christian Slater and Patricia Arquette. I would have loved to have seen one with, I mean, the combination of all 4 of them, I guess, but they probably would have been arguing or something, I would assume, because despite how the movie turned out and everything, I think it wasn't always um, champagne and roses that he wasn't able to direct this movie. I think Tarantino wanted to direct it. I definitely just think that, even though that he was wanting, I think he wanted to meet Tony Scott and wanted to have Tony Scott's influence on him, but I don't think um, I think he wanted to make this his own movie. I think everyone knows that. I mean, come on. I mean, whether or not he likes how the movie turned out, he could think it's a wonderful movie or not, but he still wanted to direct it. Hans Zimmer's music, very good strength of the movie. James G. Robinson, Morgan Creek. You look at Morgan Creek's track record through the years; they did a pretty good job producing movies. From Ace Ventura on up. Um, I think the production team was a good strength. It's a very well produced movie. Samuel Hadida, Steve Perry, Bill Unger. Uh, so if you haven't seen True Romance, I mean, take a look at the cast. Everyone from Brad Pitt, Dennis Hopper. I mean, if you haven't seen this movie, you should definitely be seeing it. Excellent movie. Excellent movie. And Val Kilmer, I think he was going to be playing a much bigger role at one point, but then accepts the role of Elvis. So rest in peace, Tony Scott. I already talked about 2 of your movies. You're one of my favorite directors. You're one of my favorite people. No one could rock the jean shorts like you. You did quite a good job making all the movies you did. And even in your death, you took an adventurous way of going about it off the St. Vincent Bridge. So God bless you, bro. Blade 2. Picked this up at Big Lots on sale once. I don't believe it has any special features. I haven't been in the mood to watch it since I've gotten it, but I do have it. It is one of my favorites, so very excited. Looking forward to watching that sometime soon. I think I have Blade 1 somewhere around here. I don't know. Oh, man, pardon me. Might as well talk about the one that has a little bit less to it first. And this movie is directed by Peter Siegel, whereas the other Naked Guns, I believe, are directed by the Zuckers. I might be wrong about that, but anyway, I saw Naked Gun 33 and a third in theaters years back, and I didn't care for it. But recently, I seen it on cable when I was at someone's house watching some dogs, and I really enjoyed it. And then, since I've purchased it, and I really enjoyed it. Is it as funny as 1 or 2? In parts. I mean, I find the Fred Ward character to be a welcome addition to the franchise, to be honest. Like some degree of non-satire thrown in, I guess, because it was all just getting a little bit too yuck at that point. My friend Pat Proft, he's a great writer. He wrote oh gosh, the Police Academy Part One. I think some of the other police academies, and then some of the other Naked Guns. Just very talented. The parts with the Oscars towards the end, I think, are really kind of classic. Um, and it's got a good commentary. All three of these have good commentaries, or interesting commentaries. They even bring up OJ a little bit in it. This one's by David Zucker, Robert Weiss, Peter Siegel, and Michael Ewing. I don't think I've heard the whole thing on this one. I've heard the other commentary, so I'm looking forward to hearing this one as well. But yeah, I mean, you got Priscilla Presley, OJ, George Kennedy in one of his final film roles. Definitely check out Naked Gun 33 final 33 and a third of the final insult. Definitely worth your time for sure. Um, all right, this movie is loaded with special features. There's a Okay, the reason I'm frustrated or the reason I'm pausing right now is I have this Insomnia DVD, and all the features that they're saying on the back of it, I can't figure out how to play them. So I guess that's my fault. Because right now they're saying there's a cool commentary I could hear with Hilary Swank, production designer Nathan Curley, a wonderful editor Doherty Dorn, cinematographer Wally Pfister, one of the best ever, and screenwriter Hilary Sates. That's a commentary? I've never heard that commentary. That's really odd. I think I'm going to try to listen to that commentary. Director Christopher Nolan commentary and order of shooting sequence. You know what's so weird is I can't find those commentaries on here. It's my project. I'll figure that out tonight. That's what I want to do. I want to figure out where that content is that I'm supposedly having on here. But let's talk about the movie itself. You got a really good performance by Nikki Katt. I always like when Nikki Katt turns in a good performance. I think Martin Donovan does a good job in this film. I think Maura Tierney does a good job in this film. I think Paul Dooley does a good job in this film. I think Hilary Swank does what she's capable of doing with material that she's given. I think Robin Williams does a fantastic job. I think Al Pacino does a fantastic job. I like this movie so much more than the original that it's based on. I know that may not be the most popular opinion in the world, but I just feel this film is just so much better. I don't really know how to say it other than I'd watched this a million times over the other one. I think I saw it in theaters and it kind of fucked me up when I saw it the time I did because I didn't see the whole thing at that time. I kept being so curious about it and just so visually such a stunning movie. I highly recommend this film. I highly recommend others to rewatch it. Sure, is it the most surprising movie, or is it keep you guessing? No, not really. But it's a different kind of Hitchcock movie. I do agree it has some Hitchcock elements. It's a different kind of thriller. It's rated R, language, some violence, and brief nudity. Invited to Night Mute, Alaska, to head a murder case, veteran detective Will Dormer finds his investigation disrupted by an ever shining midnight sun that wreaks sleep depriving havoc on him, and by personal guilt over a second crime that may be real or a figment of his increasingly unstable consciousness. So this is Christopher Nolan's movie he made after Memento and before he would go on to, I guess, Batman Begins right after this. Jolting psychological thriller to remember, guiding these. Okay, so they're all Oscar winners. In the season of the Midnight Sun, no one and no secret can hide forever. So it's produced by, or executive produced by George Clooney and Steven Soderbergh, Tony Thomas and Kim Roth, Charles J.D. Schlitzel, produced by Paul Junger Witt. Paul Junger Witt, very talented man, produced many sitcoms in the 80s and 90s, and transitioned to making some very good films as well, all throughout that time, and still in that 2000s era. I don't believe he's still active now. If he is, then God bless him. It's a bunch of featurettes on the back of it, so I'm really looking for. Okay, I gotta read this a little bit closer here. An asterisk denotes that something is enhanced features for my PC DVD-ROM. Being that I don't have a DVD-ROM, are they implying that I can't get these features unless I don't know. I'll find that out. But anyway, not anyone's joined us yet for the live stream. I'm about 40 minutes in. So I hope everyone out there is enjoying themselves. And let's do two more Q&As and then we'll wrap this up. Oh gosh. This is a question, and it came in from Spain. Oh, wow. Had great times living and working in Spain, so glad to see that my influence on their television culture has gotten me some fans. But this is an American that used to live in Spain, and his name is Marcus. Marcus is currently living in Mallorca, and Marcus asks, what are my favorite Mike Lee movies? God, what an international question. Well, Mike Lee, oh gosh. Oh, I've known Mike Lee since 1996 or 1997. I met him at the Oscars when he was winning an Oscar for his screenplay for Secrets and Lies. So even if I didn't like Secrets and Lies, I still might think that that's my favorite Mike Lee movie. But I love Secrets and Lies. It's one of my favorite movies that he's made. It's one of my favorite movies, period. I find that Glenda Blethyn and Marianne Jean-Baptiste, all the performers just do a wonderful job. I think even Timothy Spall is in that film. I mean, just a wonderful, wonderfully underrated movie. Even though it got all those Oscar nominations and all the Oscar talk, it just doesn't get much better than Secrets and Lies. It just doesn't get much better than Secrets and Lies in modern cinema history. It's a movie I don't hear it discussed at all anymore. And Mike Lee has had a topsy-turvy career, no pun intended. He made Topsy Turvy, I think, as his follow-up to Secrets and Lies. He made Naked with David Thewlis just a couple years before Secrets and Lies. That would be a highly ranked movie on my, it may even be number one on my Mike Lee list without having seen Secrets and Lies. What's another one? Mr. Turner, about the painter. That was about 3.5 hours. That starred Timothy Spall. That was a beautiful, beautiful movie as well. Did he make Mrs. Henderson Presents? I don't think he did. I'm not a real big fan of that movie. God, I've seen a lot more of his movies. Another Year, kind of a bleak movie with him that he made. I think James Corden has a small part in that. Another Year, something about the job or career force, Career Girls. That might have been his follow-up to Secrets and Lies. In fact, I was at an event for that film, Career Girls. May the lady that's in Career Girls rest in peace. She also appeared in Naked as well. So yeah, without a doubt, I'm still looking for some other really great Mike Lee movies. Obviously, Vera Drake was a fantastic performance, fantastic movie. Just not really a subject that I really, embrace fully. That has nothing to do with how good the movie was. But yeah, I think Mike Lee is probably the best filmmaker working today. Like, yeah, who would say that other than me? I don't know. I mean, he's clearly the best, most original filmmaker working. So thank you so much for your question out there, Marcus. In Spain, actually, has asked me what my favorite Mike Lee film was, and I said Secrets and Lies. And I've known Mike Lee since I think 1997, something like that. So if you all haven't seen Secrets and Lies out there, definitely go check it out. I think we have a person out here in the live chat. Let's see who it is. Person in the live chat, please identify yourself. And how are you doing today? So just to review, we've talked about some movies here in this episode. We talked about My Cousin Vinny. We talked about Taking of Pelham 123. We talked about True Romance and the double disc collector's edition for it. We talked about a film called Lord Love a Duck. starring Tuesday Weld and Roddy McDowell, directed by George Axelrod. Naked Gun 33 and a Third, directed by Peter Siegel. And we also discussed Insomnia, which has a DVD with a variety of special features and commentaries that, for whatever reason, I have not been able to fully access. And I'm very much looking forward to doing so, because one of them includes a commentary with Hilary Swank, cinematographer Wally Pfister, and editor Dodie Dorn. Dodie Dorn's a very talented editor of Insomnia, editor of Matchstick Men, very talented editor indeed. So, hope people out there are enjoying themselves. This is the Barbecue Network here. Person out there watching, are you able to participate in the chat? And if so, please identify yourself. If you have any questions for our live Q&A, we can take them here now, or you can leave them in the comment section and I will address them on future videos. Going to, I think, our fourth question. This one arrived via email, and it just so happens, in 2014, I was working primarily in and around Italy, various different communities. I'm working in community television, actually, and community outreach for a variety of different television networks. So I tend to stay pretty connected with a lot of things going on in Italy lately. So someone wrote in and they wanted to know my thoughts on the Suspiria remake. And his name's Ernie, and he lives in Rome, and it's good to talk to Ernie again. Ernie, been a while, my friend, but hope you're doing pretty well. He works in the film business. He actually works at Cinecittà Studios, and I believe he's been involved in the production of a lot of these Italian horror movies the last couple of years, and his father was actually involved in the production of some of the great Giallo movies. So, Ernie, I do much appreciate your question. I'm so sorry to give you this answer, but no, I haven't seen the Suspiria remake yet. I just haven't. I don't want to watch it on Amazon Prime or whatever, if it's even on there. I'm going through a thing where I don't really like all this streaming stuff right now because I don't know. I got to go get an HDMI cord and to the phone to this to that, or get a Fire Stick and I don't give a, it's just, I got hours worth of entertainment. I can watch my own content and DVDs and Blu-rays that I have. I don't really need to go see something. Ideally, I'd like to watch that. I'd like to watch the Michael Jackson documentary. I'd like to watch a couple other I guess topical or things that are on Netflix, such as Bird Box or whatever the fuck. But like at the end of the day, I'm not gonna actually go seek and put money out to watch what is likely just one or two, three movies. No, because I go and buy a movie that I want to watch, that I know I want to watch over the next, 50, 100 years. And I'd rather buy that and then know that I have that and can put it on anytime, rather than knowing that some streaming fleeting idea of a service is coming in through it. What if that thing doesn't be able to be relied on? Sure, the discs can stop working and everything like that, but I just don't really trust streaming. I don't really care that all these movies are available at the flip of a button. I find that to be like kind of stupid, actually, because they're actually not available to you. They're just there. Like, are you really going to click on every one of the movies that are available and watch them? No, they're baiting you. They're just showing you a bunch of stuff and being like, here, look all behind that. It's just a bunch of bullshit, because you're gonna click on something, you're gonna watch it, be like, that's great, and next thing, and the next thing sucks. Because you look at the stuff that's really on Netflix a lot of the time. Sure, you got all the Marvel movies, you got this movie, you got that movie, you got that movie. Then you got a bunch of shit. Like, literally, if you look at Netflix's response to Steven Spielberg, it's laughable. It's saying, we love art. You do? You want to know how many movies I've seen on Netflix that are not art? That are just totally fucking sick, stupid shit? So to quit, don't tell me you like art. And don't tell me you guys are doing all this Netflix shit, putting movies on there because you're trying to get to people that are in the middle of the country that can't see movies and movie theaters and all that. You don't care about them. Don't lie. They don't even have good enough streaming to stream Netflix. Broadband all the way to the internet is in those areas. You don't care about them. Don't lie. That's what's so double faced about it. It's like they're not doing all this to benefit people's artistic appreciation in the middle of the country and the South and in poor areas. I'm in those areas by choice. I could live in like California and all the rich areas that I did for all my life. I don't want to live there. I want to be able to control my own content. I don't want some streaming service invading my house, basically. And it's almost like how I feel about it. It's like I don't want to be on this wavelength where everyone else is and they get all this entertainment spoon fed to them. Like, if you're not streaming, then you're basically having more control over what ideas you put in your head. You really are. I mean, streaming's the new television. If you think that you're creatively figuring out ways that you're going to be watching and programming your evening when you're using a streaming service, you're significantly misled. You really are. I mean, I'm going to be damn honest about how I feel about streaming. I think it's a joke. I think it's a racket. I think it's a scam. And I think that you're getting programmed. If you are constantly streaming, constantly searching for things to watch on streaming, all this, all that, streaming this, physical media is going out of business, and you revel in that kind of thing, and you're saying that, then you need to really check yourself. You need to really check yourself. Because I don't really agree with that at all. I don't want to get into a little bit of a debate about it at all either, because it's not really something that is quantifiable. But I'm going to say it's pretty stupid to think that just because something is available on Netflix means it's good. Or just because something's available on Amazon Prime means you should watch it. Or just because something's not on one of those services means that you shouldn't go seek something out. I think that's my larger point. Is that people are now relying too much on the streaming content, and they're not looking, if it's not on Netflix or something, it doesn't exist. That's just, I can't even tell you how low levels of stupid I think that is. I'm gonna leave it at that because more than likely all y'all's are streaming motherfucking fools. So, but I think you understand what I'm trying to say is like, yo, um, what's available on streaming is available for a reason. It's basically they were able to acquire it and now they're spoon feeding it to you. You can go acquire it elsewhere. You don't need them. It's not that much money to go acquire the movies that you want to get. It's not that much money to go ahead and figure out ways to program your life accordingly so you don't have to get all their streaming or all their, just say you get HBO or regular TV or cable. You need all that shit. You can just find movies to watch. I mean, I don't know. You got YouTube videos to watch. And that's, choosing to get kind of propagated to or selecting your propagation through YouTube, which I fully acknowledge is being done all the time. We're being propagated to, but we're going ahead and just clicking on videos by our own volition, and then it may lead us into another video, then another video. That's slightly different. But anyway, not exactly the most interesting subject matter. I do acknowledge that. Oh gosh, let's go ahead and take another email, then we'll wind up shop here for today. All right, Erin, back in my old stomping grounds. She lives back in Vegas. All right, Erin, good to talk to you. Hope you are enjoying your afternoon. And Erin writes, as a mother now, Erin's mother, she wants to know, basically some of these children's movies that we all used to grow up watching are not appropriate, by today's standards. And well, I'm gonna say, like, I don't give a fuck about that. Just I don't know. I don't get the concept of the question, so I'll just answer the second part of it. if I could, she wants me to rank Monster Squad, Goonies, and what was the other one that she mentioned? Spy Kids. I mean, I like Goonies, but I'm not like in love with it anymore. I used to like it a lot more. I think it's better than Monster Squad. I think Monster Squad's better than Spy Kids, only slightly. I mean, I'm not a huge Monster Squad fan either. There is that one about spies. Yeah, Hot Shots. These little kids become spies. Swear to God, it's before Hot Shots, Charlie Sheen. It's Hot Shots, 1988 or 89. A little black kid and a little white kid. I like that movie better than all the movies we're discussing right now. So check out Hot Shots. I believe that's the title. It's kind of a spy children's movie in the late 80s with a black kid and a white kid in it. I'm going to maybe post something about it a little bit later. But yeah, we did a little bit of a live stream commentary and discussion here, and I'm going to check out this Insomnia DVD, see if I can find those features. And then looking forward to chatting a little bit more. Hoping we get some more interaction on here. And answered some emails, went over some of my DVDs, and we will be back with you in another time. Thanks so much.